Welcome to Chatz with Charnie. This week we continue with South Africans abroad. Before we get into this week's guest, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notifications button. Yeah, down here below. This week we have Jamie Lee all the way in the UK. So let's get into the video. Thank you so much, Jamie Lee, for being on Chatz with Charnie, and welcome to the channel. Jamie Lee, please tell us a bit about yourself, where you are in the UK, and how long you've been there for.
Hi, thank you for having me. I feel so honored and privileged to share this information with you guys. So I'm in the southwest of England. It's in a city called Bristol. Next month, would be July, I would have been here for a year. I'm born and bred Cape Townian. I used to work in the northern suburbs on Kells River, and then I moved to shout out to the northern suburbs. Then I moved to Joburg and I lived there for 4 or 5 years, and then I transferred with the company that I was working for in Joburg to England.
So firstly, you said you're from Kells River, and so am I, so I got very excited. But let's get back to Chatz with Charnie. Yeah. So you transferred with the company that you were working with from South Africa, from Joburg through to the UK. What is your position, or what type of company do you work for, and how was it that you were able to transfer with them?
So the company that I worked for in Joburg is owned by a company that's based in the UK, in the US. They have branches all over Europe, Middle East, South America. We've got branches all over the world. And that's basically how I got exposed to transferring to different positions. So my position in South Africa was a regional sales manager. I used to go direct to market with our products, but I also managed channel partners in South Africa, which was small business selling our equipment. I then got an opportunity to join the team in the UK, working as a sales consultant in the municipal industry, selling projects.
That is awesome. I love that also, because we have so many chartered accountants on this channel. So somebody outside of the industry that also made it out to another country to follow their dreams, to experience new things. I love having that also, that type of exposure for, our fellow South Africans in South Africa. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, the opportunities are available.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. It's just what you make of it. If the opportunity comes, grab it. You'll be surprised at the parts of the world that needs the skills that we have in South Africa. And sometimes we as South Africans, we undersell ourselves, and we don't realize how hard we work and how we graft, for lack of a better word, in the different industries. And just because we don't necessarily have the resources or the government funding to get the projects out there, it just doesn't mean that the ideas and the intelligence and the knowledge is not there.
Yeah, South Africans definitely have a work ethic that I think sets them apart from many other nationalities. And people are always trying to get the South Africans on their team just for that work ethic and for growth as well within their company.
Yeah. And honestly, because I think in South we're so used to working with little resources, we know how to make the best out of the little that we have and make it go further. I think as South Africans, we are so good at doing that.
That is
I think
true.
The opportunity, we should just grab it. Yeah.
No, amen, sister. And so you got the position with the company. Tell us, what was the process like in terms of receiving the offer from the group company or from the branch that is in the UK to actually getting on a plane to head off to the UK? What was the documents that you needed? Was there any money that you had to spend out of pocket? Did the company cover anything? What was that process like?
So just for the visa, I needed a TV test. I needed to prove that my degree was taught in English, and I needed a sponsorship letter from my company. So that was the biggest delay in the whole process, was the sponsorship from my company, because they needed to justify why they are bringing my skill sets from a different country and they don't have it within the UK. Other than that, once all the documentation was compiled, and it was when I went to the embassy and I did my biometrics, it literally took 10 days. And then I got my visa. 10 days. I could not believe you. I could not believe it, sorry, myself. It took 10 days. Once all the documentation was ready, it took 10 days and my visa came. It was,
So So that is actually, so I'm not surprised by the fact that the embassy worked that quickly, because
yeah.
I've had experiences with embassies working with like within like 7 to 14 days in getting your visa out. But you getting the information from the company, getting your information in South Africa as well. Was there any need for you to get a police clearance certificate? How long did that take as well?
No police clearance
Oh,
certificate.
wow.
Getting an appointment at for the TB test because I needed to do it at a certified embassy, and that took a while to get a TB test because it was COVID and most places was in lockdown, and then also getting my degree, that letter, because it's they kind of sent me around to the different departments at the university, and once I got that was done, and then the sponsorship letter because of the different HRs and the time zones and making sure that they met all the requirements and they did the motivation correctly. Honestly, once all of that was done, that was the biggest, was just that letter from the company was the biggest challenge. Once all that was done and it was in 10 days later, I literally got my visa.
Oh my word. So basically, for about 7 to 8 months, you were practicing perseverance and patience, waiting for all those documents to get through. And I can understand how frustrating that must have been for you as well, because all of those things were outside of your control. You know,
Absolutely.
you couldn't do anything about the fact that these places were closed down because of COVID, and you had to wait an extended period for your for the documents or for them to open up. And then the company, I mean, that is completely outside of your control. And this is something that many companies have to do, is to prove that they require your skills and they can't get that skill within where they are in their country. So therefore they would need that sponsorship letter. I think that is something that the US needs as well, the UK, anywhere else in Europe as well. I'm pretty sure New Zealand and Australia also need to prove that they can't find the skill in their own country, and that's why they're bringing this foreign national in to fulfill the position.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I think that's what took so long, is to get different players to give like a testimony to say that, oh, she's worked on this project and this is the value that she brings, and oh, she's worked for the company for so many years, like she knows we don't have to train her again and things like that. And you know, like in the UK, they do have a skills shortage at the moment, so I think that also helped in my favor. Or in South Africans' favor, anybody's favor, is the fact that they need the skills. So that was one of the factors I think that also motivated the company and the country to let me come over.
And I think that's also a plug for all South Africans. If you ever wanted to apply to the UK, apply now. There's a skill
Yes,
shortage. Do your thing and get on a plane.
exactly. I mean, they're looking for engineers, they're looking for drivers. Like
Yeah.
in the industry right now, architects, you'll be surprised, dentists, they're just looking for so many skills right now. And there's so much opportunities here. Like my husband came over a couple of months. He was probably without a job for a month and then he got a job.
Oh,
It's
wow.
there's so many opportunities here. You just need to get here.
Yeah, that's right. You just need to get there. So, number one, get a passport.
Yes,
Number two, apply for a job.
and have lots of patience because it takes some time.
That is true. That is true. So you have your visa in hand. You are off to leave the country to come to the UK. What did you have to prepare in order to get onto that plane to leave? Was there any relocation costs that you had to spend your own money on? Did the company cover that? Did you have to send any of your assets or valuables over to the UK? Or did you just take, like me, 2 suitcases and leave?
I did that. I took 4 suitcases and left. So I didn't think it was worth. So I did negotiate some relocation fees with my offer. Please do ask for that because they do budget for that when they bring you in. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So ask. So I did negotiate a relocation fee. So I was very blessed in the fact that they paid for it. However, I did opted not to bring a container, so I could bring a container with all of my furniture and all of that. I said, no, I want to start afresh. I got rid of all the furniture. I packed whatever I could within my 4 bags and I literally moved. I landed here and then I had to, because South Africa was on the red list. So I had to isolate in a hotel for 10 days, which was terrible and was costly because it was £1,750 at the time for that 10 days in that hotel because we were on the red list. So luckily the company paid for that, so I was blessed in that card. Got to the UK, got into isolation, and I stayed there for 10 days. Once I left, because while I was in the 10 days, I thought I will then open a bank account, I will then look for an apartment, because I've got 10 days, nothing to do but sit in a hotel, because I'm in isolation, because I came from the red list country, sorry. What I wish I did do was open a bank account, because when I was in isolation, I could not open a bank account in the UK without my BRP card, and BRP is your British residence permit, and I couldn't go pick that up because I was in isolation, and without a bank account, you cannot get an apartment out there. And so without, you couldn't get the bank account because I didn't have a proof of address. I couldn't get a proof of address because I couldn't open or get a lease because I didn't have a bank account for my company to deposit my relocation fee in. But if I had opened an international bank account like Investec has those, or if while I was in isolation, I could have opened what they call Monisa or Monzo, which is like an online UK online banking account. It doesn't have like a building that you can walk in, but you can receive your salaries and stuff and then do payments like that. So I wish I had that knowledge at my disposal. So I waited 10 days, left, booked into another hotel when I got to Bristol. And then I was in search of opening a bank account. And that took about a week to open, because now I had to obviously use the hotel as a proof of address, and then they didn't accept that, and then I asked a colleague to use his proof of address. So I used his house address for a while, and then I could get an apartment. Getting an apartment here was a nightmare. You'd see, like we have in South Africa, we have Property 24, and you can browse apartments and you organize viewings. Yeah, I'll view an apartment this morning, call maybe at 1 o'clock, the apartment's gone. There was like no apartments available. Like, they don't last. It's not like back home where the apartments is online for a couple of days or for a week. No, they don't have housing here for young people. It just goes by. And in the town I live in is Bristol, so there's 2 universities here. So the students are obviously also taking a lot of them out. So all the good, well-priced ones, especially in the city centre, go very quickly. So the apartment that I do have now, I didn't even view it. I saw it and I said to the guy, I'll take it. I saw the pictures online and I said to him, I'll take it. Tell me which documentation to send through. And then obviously I needed my reference documentation of what rentals I had in South Africa. I had to get a letter from my company to say that I'm in fact employed by them permanently, and then also I needed to show that I have a right to rent in the UK. So it's something that you get off the government website, to show that you have a right to rent. They're not just going to rent to anyone, So I needed to get that off the government website, and I submitted all those documentation, and obviously with the deposit, which is 2 months deposit. And a 1-bedroom apartment here in the city centre goes from anything to 1,000 to 1,500, 400 pounds.
Oh, goodness.
1 bedroom. And one thing we know about England, when I say 1 bedroom, I mean a little box.
Yeah, very small.
It's very small. It's not like back home where we have space and a garden and and a little balcony and stuff like that. That all costs extra. It's really small. And especially if you want to live in the center. So I wanted to live in the city center because at the time I didn't have a car. So I wanted to use the bus and the trains. Although outside of the city center, they're also quite accessible. And we walk a lot in England as well. I was just not used to it. So I was like, oh, I need a car because I want to drive there to go get there. I want to drive to IKEA and stuff. You don't have to here. People walk everywhere. Honestly, they do. So yeah, that is my journey. That was my process.
I do know that with just going back to opening a bank account, when I lived in Ireland, there was a bank, an online bank in the UK called Revolut. And
Yes.
that is another one that you can also use to have money in. The cool thing about Revolut is that they also have like saving options like vaults. They call it vaults, but it's like savings that you can put in, that you can put your money into, and you can also get your salary in. And I think one of my friends actually used that when she moved to the Netherlands as well, because the same, you need so much evidence to get a to get a bank account, but you need the bank account to get the evidence that you need for the bank account. It's it's not like South Africa at all, where you can go into like a bank and get your bank card immediately. Also, you have to wait a while before you get your bank card with some institutions. So I completely understand your struggle, girl. I was there a few
So
times.
frustrating. It was like a chicken and egg scenario. Like one can't come with the other, the other. And I was so, at some point, I was just so frustrating because, you know, when you come to a first world country, you kind of expect things to work. And it does work because once I had all the documentation and everything set up, it works smoothly. But just for that initial step, and I mean, coming here already for me, so I'm used to like packing groceries, for instance. Back home, we have someone to help pack the groceries for you. Here, we don't.
Do it yourself, yeah.
You have to do it yourself. So the first day I'm moving to the apartment, now I'm going grocery shopping like we do. You know, when you move, you go buy lots of toiletries. And I'm scanning, and this lady, and I see this lady's like not packing, and I look at her, and she looks at me, and she's like, "Do you want the bag?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." And she's like, and she puts the bag, and she puts it down, and I look at her, and she looks at me, and she's like, "You need to pack." And I was like, "Must I pack?" And it was over what
You asked her that.
Must I? She's like, "Yes, ma'am." And I was thinking it's a whole trolley now of groceries.
Oh
And
my
everybody
goodness.
lined up. And I was like, okay, I'm still packing these groceries. And I mean, pumping your own petrol in your car also. Because now you go to the petrol station and you have to figure it out. So it works once you're here. But that initial startup was a shock to the system. It really was.
It's definitely a different lifestyle that you need to get used to. So you go, so back to what you said with regards to the accommodation and the apartment, you're looking for all of this. What was the security deposit that you needed in order to get the apartment? So was it equal to the same amount of rent as the apartment was per month, or was it less than or more than?
It was definitely the same, and then it was slightly more because you need to pay like admin fees and a security hold. So once you want the property, say, please, can I want to take the property, you have to pay like £200 for them to take the property down off the website. They do referencing, and
I'm shocked.
and also if you fail any of the referencing, they're not giving you £200 back.
So it's non-refundable.
It's non-refundable, but if you're successful in your application, they take the £200 off the deposit. For instance, say you had to give £1,000 deposit, they will then take it off. So if you're unsuccessful, they take your £200 and say thank you for your time, but
Thank you for your time and your money.
and your money, and your money. So yeah, so I had to pay like the deposit, £200 to say, please hold the apartment for me. Let me know what reference documents. So then I had to pay a deposit and the admin fee. The deposit was equal to 1 month's worth rent, and then an admin fee. So
And then the first month's rent as well.
oh yes, of course, and then the first month's rent. So if your rent was £1,000, you had to probably pay £2,400.
So a heads up to everyone, when you're thinking about moving to the UK, check online to see how much the apartments go for, and then double that, and then know what money you need to have in the bank for when you come over. And you're most likely also going to be spending it in rands, which means there's going to be some sort of like commission fee that you have to pay on a foreign transaction. So you need to take that in mind also. And if you're going to be moving the money from South Africa to the UK or any other country, you need to have some sort of platform that you use in order to do so. You know, like you said, Investec has those options as well, right?
And there's an app called MoneyWise and TransferWise that can also, and they've got excellent rates. Like I send money home now, and I mean, they charge you what the exchange rate is for the day, and they take a really small admin fee. So TransferWise is honestly the best app when transferring money. And you're so right by saying you should have a buffer when you come, because yes, my company gave me the money and I relocated, but I had to spend my own money first and claim it back from the company because the bank account took too long. to sort that out, and the apartments were going quickly, so I had to spend South African rands, right? So when I mean the pound is like what, 1950 at the moment. So I had to spend whatever money you have in rands, divide that by at least 20. And that's what I needed to spend and fork out for that first month coming here. Obviously, I got it back later when I claimed it back, showed my receipts, but I needed to have that cash. And it's painful. It's really painful.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I mean, just thinking about the rent as well, that's over 30,000 Rand that you're going to need as a buffer. I would say 60K just to be safe as a buffer sitting in your bank account. You know, for some of us, it's not going to be easy to save that up. You're going to need to take time. And that's why, you know, what Jamie said, it's a process. You also need to use that process where it was, what was 7 to 8 months to save up money. Now, make those sacrifices by not going out, not traveling, doing local trips, and just accumulating your wealth or your savings so that when you do move over, you're not stressing. Another thing that I would like to add to the viewers, I know you have a credit card, but you don't want to make foreign debt in your South African credit card because it's going to take you a really long time to pay that off.
Yes.
So don't count on your credit card, save your money.
Yeah.
That's my
And you'd
advice.
be surprised at how much money we waste. Like, if I look at how I've lived in South Africa, and if you actually just take your budget and you look at it on a molecular level, like that Steers, that KFC, that Seattle coffee, if you just accumulate all of those receipts, you'll be surprised at how much money we waste in South Africa. And me personally also, I had to take a hard look at my finances and actually look at how much money I spent on junk.
Yeah.
And I did that again and saved money. And I saved so much money doing that.
Well, well done. Very happy that you were very successful in moving over to the UK and getting an apartment. So you have your apartment, you've worked out your transportation. What is actually, getting back to transport, what is the transport cost like in terms of like a monthly budget, using the trams or using the buses or the trains in the city that you stay in, Bristol?
Okay. So the bus can cost you like £4. You can get it for £20 for the week, and you can travel anywhere within the city and outside of the city for £20 per week. The train, I find, especially if you want to go from Bristol to London or from Bristol to Cardiff, I think that's expensive because you can pay up to £60 for your train if you want to go to London. So I would prefer the bus, and the buses go everywhere. Like, here's a bus stop on every corner, and the color code, they are color coded. So every different color bus goes to different parts of the city. There's an app for it. You can check the train, the bus times and things like that. So it's very easy to figure out the bus routes here. And they have an app here for everything. An app for the train, an app for the bus. There's an app. If you can think about it, there's an app. Just download it, and it's so easy, so user friendly. You get on the bus, you swipe your card. I mean, if you have PayPal, and I know with Apple phone, you even link that to your phone, and then you swipe with your phone. You get into the bus. They say at each stop what stop is coming up now. It's very, very easy. You can even follow the bus route on your app. It's very easy to use.
So basically, 1 month would be about £80 to travel in and around the city, which is not bad. I think I also paid similarly when I lived in Ireland. £80 is also a lot of money. Don't get that mistaken. People, it's not the same as 80 Rand. It's not the same. It's
80 times
literally
20.
80.
It's not like your monthly for Metro Rail. You know, when you used to travel with the train back home and you buy your monthly, it's still more than that.
Yeah, no. So you still need to save while you're there for the transportation and things like that. So we've spoken about the apartment, the transportation. What is the food cost like? Is it expensive to buy groceries? Is it expensive to eat out while in Brisbane?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's cheaper to buy groceries. So for me and my husband, we will spend about £60, maybe £70 on groceries a week, right? Whereas if you buy takeout, you might pay £30 for one takeout meal. So takeout for me, in my experience, is much more expensive. It's so much cheaper if you cook. If you go to like a Tesco's or a Sainsbury's and you buy your meat for the month. I do find red meat to be expensive here, but like fish is quite cheap, chicken is quite cheap, vegetables is quite cheap, and they've got gluten-free in everything and organic for everything. So they're very health conscious as well. Obviously, you pay a little bit more for those kind of things if you don't eat any gluten and things like that, but definitely cooking will cost you £60 a week. But takeout is very expensive. We went out with another couple to a restaurant for a meal and like 4 cocktails between the two of us, and it was £100.
Oh my word.
No, it's very expensive. Like I
That's
find going out to restaurants and takeout so much. It's just expensive in this country, honestly. It's cheaper to make a meal at home and have friends come over. Yeah, it's just very expensive.
and sometimes it's also better entertaining than being entertained at a restaurant. So
Yeah.
it all wins in your favor when you stay at home and cook, basically.
Yeah.
So Jamie, we've spoken about you moving over to the UK, and when you're getting there and you have your apartment and everything. So what I've heard with regards to people living in the UK, and I know the UK and Europe is quite different. So with regards to people living in Europe, they've had to apply for a tax number in order that they're not penalized by paying 50% of their salary over to the government. Penalized in a sense that they're going to penalize you up until you get the tax number, and then they'll pay you all that money back, the difference between the 50% and what your actual
Yeah.
tax bracket is. Is there anything like that in the UK as well, something that people need to be made aware of before they make the move?
No, so I haven't experienced any of that. So you do pay like 25% of the salary tax, of which some of it goes to your national insurance. I did have to wait to get that number, but they took the money whether I had the number or not. They still deducted that of my salary because I still paid the tax. So other than that, no. And South Africa and the UK have what they call a double taxation agreement. So you don't have to pay on one salary tax in the UK and in South Africa. But if you do have property in South Africa, you still have to declare, even if you don't pay tax there. If you're receiving an income in South Africa and you have property there, so you're receiving an income from the property, you have to declare that to South African tax people. So if you have to just make sure, if you're owning property there, to get the tax side of things really good. But there is a way that you can do it. If the income is paying the bond and stuff, you still declare it, even if you're saying zero income or zero profit made from it, you declare it to South Africa and you'll be fine. So I didn't experience anything of that.
It's a
No.
bit hectic, but people, before you move over to any country, please make sure that you are aware of if there are any double taxation agreements, or if you're also going to have to declare this income when you do your South African tax. Please note they're not going to like tax you straight out like twice on one salary. There is something called a tax credit, a foreign tax credit. So whatever money you paid, let's say you in the US, whatever money I've paid to the US tax services, they take that as a credit off of what I owe the South African government, as an example.
Yeah,
So
most of the time, just play open cards. Don't try and dodge the tax. My father always used to say, the tax man and the people who cut your hair, don't try and piss them off or dodge them. Just do the right thing.
that is
I
really
promise
true.
you, you will be fine. You'll honestly be fine.
Jamie, it's been so wonderful having you on Chats with Charnie. You've given us so much information that I think will help many people on their journey into relocating to the UK. And before we get like to the final part, you know, the UK isn't just England. So tell us, what other countries make up the UK?
Okay. So first of all, Ireland is not part of the UK. Ireland is a country on its own.
Thank
So
you.
the countries that make up the UK is England, Scotland, and Wales. And don't tell a Scottish man that he's from England. They hate that. Don't tell a Welsh man that he's the same as the English. They hate that. Although for us they're all the same, they are not. So what makes up England, or what makes up the United Kingdom, is England, Scotland, and Wales. And they're all very different. Culturally, they're different. The language is different. The accents are different. So I'm getting used to hearing how they sound from each other.
It's
So
really true. You don't want to offend anyone when you're in another country. And Jamie is quite correct. Ireland, so the Republic of Ireland is not a part of the UK. However, Northern Ireland, which is just above, is part of the UK. And please, when you go to Ireland, don't tell them that they are part of the UK, and don't tell Northern Ireland that they are Irish, because there's a feud between those two countries. You do not want to mix that up.
You think South Africa has politics? You have no idea.
You have no idea. You literally cross the border into Northern Ireland, everything changes.
Yes.
Everything changes. They see you have an Irish license plate, beware.
Yeah.
It's
So
very
it's the
different.
same here. It's the same. They vary. Like, cause I live in Bristol, which is just a bridge. Like, Wales is like a 40-minute drive for me, and the moment I cross that bridge, it's a whole different world. They're different. They're very different.
Well, they're a different country, right? So they have every
Yes.
right to be. It's just that it's like a land border. So it's not like you're going through like this patrol or anything. You're literally going the other side of the street.
Yes.
That's what it's like. So it's like, but it's the same. I just crossed the street, but it's not the same. It's not the same at all. Jamie, thank you so much for being on Chatz with Charnie. You've been a great guest, given us so much information, like I've said, and it's valuable information that people didn't previously have that you are now sharing. So thank you so much for that. I just want to ask you, is there any advice that you have for somebody who's considering moving to the UK? You know, what advice would you give them in terms of saving, like we've mentioned, and also just the zeal and the perseverance to stick it out until they get it?
I would say just do it. You'll never know until you die. And save your money. It will be so worth it, guys. It will be so worth it. The exposure that you get from a career perspective, just the different cultural difference, and just life in general. Just do it. Get out of your comfort zone. You know, my mother always said to me, doesn't matter where in the world you are, if it doesn't work, just come back home, then that's okay. And we can just redo this again and restart. So I wish I did this 5 years ago, to be honest. I wish I did it much younger. And I wasn't so afraid. And I didn't stand in my own way. Like sometimes I think we just stand in our own way. Just get out of your own way and do it. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. I promise you, there's nothing that you won't figure out. You'll meet people and they will help you, or you'll find information. And one of the advice is, if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. Just ask. You'll be amazed that if you just ask, people will say yes, or they'll be like, I emailed a lady the other day who's in the United States, and she has heard her in a conference, and so she's like quite senior in our organization, and I said to her, you know what, I want your job. Like, in 4 years from now, I want to be in Colorado and I want your job. And she's like, okay. That's a random lady. I've never met her. I heard her on the talk. I sent her an email and I said a little laugh out loud. She replied, she's like, book a spot in my diary, go, and I'll tell you how to get there. That's what she did. And she literally sat with me and she's like this. So she said to me, show me your CV. She's like, this is your CV. These are the skills that you need and this is how you're going to get there. I don't know this lady from a bar of soap.
That's awesome, Jamie.
It's like, take your shot, guys. Take your shot. You never know.
Yeah, don't be afraid to reach the unreachable dream. It's only unreachable because it's in your mind and the limitations that you've set on yourself. That's excellent advice. And I hope to see you in the States then in the next 4 to 5 years, Jamie.
Yes, I'll definitely give you a call and be like, so remember when we spoke in 2022? I'm here now.
Oh, I mean, I think that should all just be such an amazing testimony, you know, of your faith, of your perseverance, of how hard you've worked. And even for where you are right now, it really does take guts, you know, to apply for a role, even within your same company, to a different country, because you're leaving the comfort of mom and dad. You're leaving the comfort of your home, your friends. You're going to a place where you have no friends. You know, there's no sense of familiarity, even with a grocery store or with a pharmacy, right? The medication is completely different. There's so many things that you need to get accustomed to. You no longer have a car. Now I've never taken a bus in my life. Now I must take a bus. Never taken a train in my life. Now I must take a train. Like, what's going on? My whole life is changing. But you've taken that step, and I'm super proud of you and happy for you that you've done so, and that you're excelling, and that you're achieving the things that you and your husband want to achieve, which is awesome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. I hope that the story has inspired people to just go for it. And I mean, if ever, give a call, reach out, send an inbox on Facebook or something. You'll never know who can help you, who can assist with something. Just don't be afraid.
Thanks so much, Jamie. And thank you everyone for watching Chats with Charnie. Please stay tuned for our next video next week. And don't forget to like this video and share some love to Jamie as well. Bye, everyone.
Bye.